Hello, my name is John Broadwell, and I am the creator of the Serial Wombat open source project, and also the sponsor of a KickStarter campaign for the Serial Wombat 8B that'll be running through April of 2025, and then these boards will be on Amazon later this year. Really excited about this. The Serial Wombat 8B is my own proprietary open source firmware running on a CH32V003 microcontroller that essentially converts that microcontroller into an I2C peripheral device that you can command from Arduino, MicroPython, C#, basically any of those languages, or using the protocol. I have a series of different boards that support this, and today we're going to be looking at board number 37, which is the Xiao Expansion board. I am a really big fan of the Seeed Xiao line of development boards. You can get lots of different microcontrollers, ESP32s, RP2040s, SAMD21s, some of the Nordic boards, just a whole nice variety of different options, and they all have the same form factor. Generally speaking, they're very convenient, but sometimes you run out of I/O, and that's where this board comes in. By adding two of the Serial Wombat 8B chips to a Xiao, you get not only 16 additional ADC channels, or PWM, or servo control, or GPIO, or whatever. You also get two real-time embedded control coprocessors, because each of these guys can do PID control, they can do button debouncing, rotary encoder reading, all of the things that tend to trip up beginner to intermediate Arduino programmers and generally make your life a hassle because you spend a lot of your effort worrying about interrupts and library integration as opposed to worrying about your high-level development goals. So let's take a quick overview of the Xiao Expansion board number 37. First, there's a socket where you can plug in your Seeed Xiao. It draws 5 volts from the Xiao into its own 3.3 volt regulator, which feeds the V out pins and also the Serial Wombat chip pins. One of the complaints that people have about the Xiao boards is that perhaps their linear regulators are a little bit undersized. You start pulling a bunch of extra power off of the Xiao boards and that can drop. So on this board, I integrated my own 250 milliamp linear regulator. So by default, 3.3 volts goes to the two Serial Wombat chips. There may be cases where you want these to get 5 volts instead, and in that case, you need to knock off this 0 ohm resistor right here that will disconnect the 3.3 volts from the Serial Wombat chips. And then on the back, there is a solder jumper you can close that will connect up the 5 volt line from the Xiao to the Serial Wombat chips. There are optional pull-up resistors that you can enable by closing this 3-point solder jumper, and those pull-up resistors still go to the 3.3 volt regulator. That is important because when you're mixing I2C bus voltages, you want 3.3 volts on your I2C bus, even if you have 5 volt devices on the bus. So there's also a power LED that can be enabled with this jumper, and the two chips can be configured for either address 64 or 6C, and the other one is 63 or 6B. And so that lets you have some flexibility with regard to your various I2C addresses if you have other things that you want to hang off of this particular bus. This board also has a QR code on it. Where possible, I use QR codes. Otherwise, I use URLs on the board. And as you can see in this video, if you snap that, it will take you directly to serialwomb.com, which is points to serialwombat.com, and it will show you the board documentation and a variety of Serial Wombat resources. I'm in the process of putting this all together. When this board is finalized for production, there will be links to the open source hardware, as well as an image of the schematic and a mechanical drawing that shows this particular board. So you can see this is the configuration it'll come populated in. It'll have headers pre-soldered. It'll have these sockets pre-soldered. The end, this is I2C. 3.3 volt or whatever goes to the serial Wombat chip and ground, and that is duplicated down here. So one of the things that's sometimes annoying about the Xiao boards is lack of access to additional ground or voltage pins, and so this board also helps with that. So not a lot to say here. Essentially, what is this? At the end of the day, this is equivalent to a Xiao board plus 2 of the serial Wombat 8B base boards plus a handful of wires. But I know that this particular kind of board was available for the serial Wombat 18AB and now is the best selling of the 18AB boards. And so I thought, wow, this is definitely something that I want to bring to this new low-cost serial Wombat project. So really excited about that. Hop on over to the Kickstarter if you're interested in this board and the serial Wombat concept in general, and back that guy, and then look for retail boards to be available probably this fall. So until I talk to you again, have fun and keep making stuff.